Hello, everybody. Welcome to Completely Candid with me, Christian Blandin. This is episode 1. Thank you so much for going back this far. I already have a handful of episodes at the point of me recording this intro. Yes, this is a re-recorded intro, and I'll get to that bit in a second. But a little bit about the show. I started this because I have met a lot of talented, brilliant, creative people over my years in this journey that we call life. And I just thought it'd be great for me to take a second to hang out with these folks because I love talking to them. And I thought I might as well just record it all and share it with the world so that way they can get their message out. And who knows? Who knows what can happen from there, right? If we just share what we do, share what we love, and share it with other people. So thank you so much for listening, tuning in, and again, coming back to this first episode. Disclaimer, it was a little bit of a rough recording, but we did our absolute best. Shout out to Frazier, our audio engineer here. He did his best to make it as listenable as possible. I think it sounds fantastic versus the original recording and editing that I did myself. So please listen. There are a lot of great things and little points that we touch on. With that, let me introduce the first guest ever on Completely Candid with Christian Blandin. That is Peter Tran. He is a dear friend of mine. I've known him for quite a while. He is a filmmaker, a writer, and a coffee connoisseur. He is known for his caffeinated concoctions over at Caffe Montage in Huntington Beach. He makes some of the best damn coffee I've ever had, not just in Southern California, but ever, period. And I'm not being biased. The coffee is freaking good, guys. Check it out if you're ever in the area, or if you live out here in Southern California in sunny Orange County, do it and check it out. We talk a little bit about coffee, living in Southern California, a little bit of MMA and martial arts. So it's a nice little spread. Hopefully you guys love it and enjoy it. I promise you, all the other episodes have a much better quality as far as the recordings themselves. And Frazier is doing an excellent job of cleaning everything up and fixing all my mistakes as far as the audio goes. So once again, thank you so much. Please enjoy and let me know what you think. Sound speed.
All right, I'm gonna slate.
Tape speed.
All right, I'm gonna slate.
Nice and snappy on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Welcome, guys. This is it. This
is
is episode 1 of hopefully many. Hopefully you don't hate me and everyone else I have on here. And hopefully we'll be doing this for a while. So today, here, Peter Tran.
That's me.
Peter Tran, who are you? What is that noise?
Oh, that's my fridge, dude.
Your fridge.
Yep.
Where are we, Peter?
We're at Caffe Montage.
Where is Caffe Montage?
The only film-themed coffee shop in Southern California, by the way.
By the way.
Yeah.
Which is located
in good old Huntington Beach, California.
Surf City.
Surf City. You either love it or you hate it. I love it, but I also hate it.
All right. Yep. Fair enough. You lived here pretty much all your life, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I was born in Fountain Valley. Spent about 8 years of my life there. 8 awesome years, by the way. Like I lived, right next to the library, and I could walk there. It was crazy. It was like the most quintessential 90s childhood that you could think of. I lived right across the street from a park, and I could go there anytime I want, but it was super bucolic. And then after around 2000, freaking moved to Westminster for a year, and then
freaking moved to Westminster.
Well, imagine this, dude. Imagine it was Leave It to Beaver, for me growing up. Like it was the nicest neighborhood, and then you have all your years, elementary school and everything. Once third grade hits, you live in a freaking apartment in Westminster, right off Beach Boulevard. I mean, as a kid, it was a pretty big jump.
Sure.
And then after that, moved to Huntington and lived that upper middle class fancy lifestyle.
Upper middle class fancy, gotta love it.
Yeah.
So after that?
Oh, well, after that, I mean, it was, you know, a little bit high school, then community college, and then actual school.
Then you went to the amazing school, so famous for many things.
Yeah.
Amongst football, tuition prices.
Yeah. I mean, they're getting bad press right now, just because of the whole scandal that happened with
oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're talking about USC, by the way.
Yeah. I love you guys, by the way. I don't think you'll ever hear me because no one remembered me before I put on the mask. But before I started making coffee. But yeah, I mean, I went to the School of Cinematic Arts, was a film production major, transferred in around 2012. And then, that was a pretty drastic jump too. Just because for me, like, you know, you go to school in Orange County, then you just jump to Los Angeles.
Very different, very different. And then USC is not too far from downtown and all that, but even just the area that is the USC campus and even the homes around, it's like super busy. It's a definite, if you're not used to it, definite culture shock.
Oh yeah.
We're here, where Orange County can be busy, say for maybe your average American that's used to kind of maybe like a suburban or even slightly rural, you know, typical home in America, going to Orange County where it's, you know, we have some tourism, you know, beaches are nice, people come in for that. Right. Good amount of business out here, bigger businesses, and then
huge MMA community too.
Yeah, I mean, we have Disneyland.
Yeah.
The Angels, the Ducks.
Yep.
A lot going on out there, and then especially with all the different concerts and whatever that happen when those stadiums aren't being used. A lot of cool history out here.
Oh yeah, no, there's a lot of people hate on Orange County. I think when I was out at USC, everyone was like, "Oh, so you were just..."
Oh, you live in the OC.
The OC, yeah. Yeah, no, but that's what people thought. They thought I was just a Laguna kid.
Oh yeah, that's true. They had the real OC.
Right. You
those
know,
good old shows.
Yeah.
What were the names of the others?
There's Lauren. Oh,
the Good Hills.
The Hills was like
the Hills
was the follow up, I guess. I guess the spinoff. Yeah.
I forget. So it's like the Hills, the real Laguna Beach.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I remember watching that. I'd be on at home after school sometimes. I was just like, wow, these people,
they're not real people, essentially. I mean, that's reality TV for you, dude. And yeah, I remember seeing that as a kid too, especially in middle school, because that's when Mean Girls was like, that was my time. You know, Mean Girls, 50 Cent.
Wake up.
Yeah.
I feel like that's when people start waking up and like realizing things.
Yeah, but also you were exposed to some pretty stupid stuff. Like a lot of the trends from the 2000s, I cringe at. Like I don't even know why reality TV is still a thing. You know? It's entertaining, but it's often very contrived and predictable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like living in Orange County in a nutshell. But yeah, at USC, everyone.
Yeah, well, USC, and then that's still LA. At least I feel like I see there are certain people, especially if they're involved in, big Hollywood scene.
Yeah.
You know, whether they're trying to be actors or musicians or pretty much any aspect of entertainment,
right.
Especially now with social media, like everyone kind of feels like they're under a spotlight or they're trying to get a spotlight on themselves.
Yeah.
So what was that? I mean, USC is huge. I'm sure there's a wide variety of people there, but
yeah, I mean, there's crossover. I mean, the production program was interesting. I didn't really have a lot of interaction outside of the film school, so in that respect, it was a lot like being at Hogwarts in a way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The film school is amazing. I mean, just the facilities alone.
It's an awesome school, but I hate every time it comes up here at Caffe Montage, everyone's like, "Oh, you must have been really good to get into film school," and I definitely think that I deserve to have gone, but I feel a lot of it was luck and statistics as well. That was also a huge factor. I mean, think of it from their perspective. You're dealing with a Vietnamese American person who wants to be a filmmaker. You know, like there are a lot of I know a lot of Vietnamese American filmmakers as well, or people went to film school and stuff, but it's a lot more rare to find those than say someone who wants to do business or be a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. And I think that's partially why I got in. I like that's a little joke I have in my
good
head.
narrative.
Yeah, because I mean I was the one Vietnamese dude that I knew, like Vietnamese American person in the production program. And the way it worked back then in 2012, I mean, it's still probably the same way, was your transfer class, y'all rode together. So everyone knew each other. It was a very small class, too.
Okay.
And in that respect, it was interesting seeing so many people come from different backgrounds and everything. Everyone had their own different story. Some from better backgrounds, some from worse backgrounds. But for the most part, it was interesting because, being from Orange County, everyone thinks you have it good. And definitely coming back from LA and living down here again, it's different. But it comes with its own set of challenges like any environment, really. And I feel like I'm a lot more grateful living here now. Definitely because the pace of LA is just chaotic. I could never live in LA again. I was dating a girl, did I tell you this? She was basically like, oh, you ever want to move back to LA and do that? And I was like, man, that part of my life is over. Like, it's closed. I don't want to revisit that. Like, it was a good time, a lot of good memories. But I wouldn't. That's not something I want.
It's something else. It's something else.
Some people love it though, which is fair.
I love being there. I'm not sure if I think I might be on the same journey as you. I'm not sure if I'd live there.
Yeah. Going there is fun. The food's good.
Yeah, going there is fun.
Yeah.
Working there is fun. It's a good experience. Mm-hmm. But every day, I mean, what I'm hoping my career is going to be, I'll probably have to do that at some point.
Right.
But it's definitely really nice living in Orange County. For me, it's a perfect middle of, you could have your slow parts and areas and times a day. Mm-hmm. Depending on where you live too, it could feel more about like the residential life, or you can get, to those busier cities. And I was like, oh, it's hip, it's happening. There's some stuff going on here. And if you go from just typical average American life to, there's ritzy, fritzy kind of stuff over the other side, or if you want to have that beach bro kind of life.
Which I don't, right?
Which I don't. To be very clear, he's not of that typical Huntington Beach life.
Nope. You'll never see me on Main Street, like ever. And some people do it ironically. Like, we have some mutual friends that do it ironically. And I'm like, why would you want to subject yourself to that? Mm. Like, my idea of a good time is not Main Street, Huntington Beach, ever. That's a nobody meme right there. Like, nobody, and it'd be me, Main Street, Huntington Beach, hell no. Like that's where you get a lot of the people that don't represent Huntington Beach well. Unfortunately, certain times of night.
So go ahead and elaborate for those not from Southern California. What is this types that we're talking about here?
Huntington Beach has a very good and bad reputation, and I've done some research about this, for fun. Just out of morbid curiosity.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I love the city.
Yeah.
I have good memories, especially there at Main Street at the beach. There's a lot being built around that now. It seems like every day there's something new there.
I mean, it's getting better, definitely. That part of HB, South HB. Just because you have Pacific City and everything, and they're really trying to draw tourism more, so it's not necessarily about the locals. There are parts of Huntington Beach that I freaking love. I'll ride or die forever for I don't know if you've been to the Huntington Beach Central Library, but it's really old. I want to say it was built in the early 20th century. I'd have to double check that one, but it's pretty old. There's a lot of history there, and the Central Park there is beautiful. I mean, they shot an episode of Dexter there. They had to sell Huntington Central Park as New York City's Central Park because they just didn't have the budget for it.
Sure.
But yeah, the Main Street HB. I mean, come on, you just gotta Google Main Street 2012 U.S. Open, and there's
Is that 2012?
It was 2012.
That far ago?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I still remember that vividly.
Yeah.
That's the only thing about every time that event comes around too.
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, it was right after. I remember going, and it's like, the security, like, at least doubled.
Well, they stopped doing concerts, I think, during the U.S. Open as a result of that.
I mean, it's for those that don't know, it's about surfing.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of cool things that go on there too. They do have like skating and whatnot.
Yeah.
But really, the main spectacle there is the surfing part. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of shenanigans that have always been attached.
Yeah.
Definitely when I was younger, in my teenage years, may or may not have attitude.
Yeah.
Some of that tomfoolery, but yeah, especially as I get older and I follow surfers a little bit more. You know, I've actually never been able to surf myself.
Yeah.
That's something I definitely want to learn how to do. Yeah. Especially being from Southern California, people are like, you don't know how to do that.
You can surf anywhere else, though. I mean, I'm not trying to bag on HB's tourism board or anything like that. But I mean, it is Surf City for a reason. I'll give it that. But yeah, I definitely think, and I think it is changing for the better. But it's an interesting time because California, I mean, Orange County just went blue for the first time, like in a long time. Mm-hmm. So you're starting to see the more progressive sensibilities become a lot more prominent, and that's kind of the mainstream, like stream of consciousness, politically speaking. And because I serve a wealth of people here from all different backgrounds.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your demographic here at Caffe Montage.
For the most part, you get like college students, commuters, some retirees. So I get a full range of the spectrum of age and different generations and such. For example, I've spoken to many people who grew up in Orange County in the 70s and 80s, where it was a different time.
Absolutely.
And honestly, maybe it's because I'm unfortunately a bit of an old soul. I can relate to those guys a little bit more, just because for our parents and such, especially if you were in Orange County raising kids and everything, times have changed dramatically. Yeah. And I feel for them, they must have seen so much, which is why I feel Huntington Beach in general is changing, not for the better, but I think it's becoming a more tolerant place, which is good. It's always good. But then you still get a little bit of that dissent. As far as people, I don't know, the whole echo chamber of the two-party system is I still see both sides here. I'm not very political myself.
I prefer not to be as
well. But people are very passionate about it, and I feel maybe in 5 to 10 years from now, people will just get along slightly better, just slightly.
Just slightly.
Just because, I mean, did I tell you there's this one time, this is the very beginning of Caffe Montage. We opened up around April 2018. So this was probably around, I want to say July or so. So we were still getting our stuff together and everything. Sure. And, it was the growing pains of any business. This lady comes in. It was pretty slow. I think I was the only person in the cafe at the time. And she comes in and she's like, honey, like, can I please have like just a hot cup of coffee? And so I gave her a hot cup of coffee and she's like, no lid. And then she just took it and just slurped it. Like, it was a sight to behold. And I was like, oh, thank you, ma'am. And then have a good day, this and that. And she just stayed. And I was like, oh boy. And she's like, you're a really nice young man and well-spoken, this and that. And I was like, thank you for this many times, blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, but you know what's really ruining Huntington Beach? And I was like, oh no. Here we go. Fasten your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. Then she just started going off about liberals, destroying Christian values and stuff. I'm not even playing. It was like, I felt like I was being memed IRL. Like, it was... and I was the only person who was a party to this, like a witness to this. And she just had this cathartic rant for about 3 minutes. I'm not even kidding. About 3 minutes, and I was just nodding, and all I could say was, oh, I understand. Yeah, liberals. And then,
Yep.
yeah, and then when she was done, she kind of like, she was shaking. Like it was,
wow.
It was like Galad. You know that scene in Lord of the Rings when Galadriel is like tempted by the ring, and she's like, oh, and she like, and then she kind of comes back to herself. That was that lady.
Jeez.
And it's just, I'm sorry. It's just the liberals, and then she walked.
Like the Hulk coming down back to being Bruce Banner.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, the liberals, and then she left, and I was like, what the? I've had many experiences, and that's kind of part of why I really enjoy what I do, is because you just have these encounters with so many different personalities. Great ones, sweet ones, toxic
yeah, you definitely,
ones,
from us hanging out, and you've introduced me to some interesting characters here.
Oh, yeah.
From the Caffe Montage crowd.
Yeah, no, they're, and I enjoy it. I enjoy the variety. I like just having, well, what I'm trying to be better about actually is, I don't want to say distance myself, but being a lot more selective with, where I spend my time.
Sure.
Because, the problem is, like, and I don't mean any offense to anyone who wants to kick it or what have you after I'm off, but when you're off work, you're dead tired.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want to do is hang out with more people when your line of work is people. Yeah.
Yeah.
And serving people and being a friend to people.
Talk. Yeah, there's a definitely. I mean, we've actually been we've been coworkers before.
Oh yeah, we have been coworkers.
Yeah, living that sales life.
Yep.
Yeah, that's tough, especially in that what we were doing. We were really helping guide people. There's so many different options.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So we worked in a MMA gym together and
right.
helped people sign up. It wasn't just your typical like, hey, welcome to XYZ gym.
Right.
Hey, look, isn't this great? Okay, what do you want to do? Like, we actually spent a full hour with these people.
Right. There's a whole process.
We figured out what they wanted to do, whether it was more towards fitness or actual self-defense, even weapons, or for their kids, and guided them through a private lesson. I do teach Jack Ross Hook. Blindfolded by now.
Oh yeah. Yep.
But it was really cool. What was that?
No, the warm-ups and the whole shebang.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It was very robotic.
It is very, I mean, especially when that is your one and only job function.
Yeah. And people get entitled with you and they're like, oh, $100 and something a month. I don't know if I want to do it. And in my head, now that I'm out of it, I can just speak plainly.
Go for it.
I'm just like, sometimes they'd be like, oh, I don't know. Like, I just really want to do the 30 days and this and that, 30-day trial. And I'm just like, well, if you want to be a fat ass for the rest of your life, go ahead, try it out for size. See if it works for you. But the way I see it, I think people could really benefit from just cardio kickboxing. Literally, like, if you want to lose weight or if you want to get more trim, you just spend your time on the bed, 30 minutes a day or what have you.
Sure.
And you'll lose it. And it's beneficial because you're displacing your anger and your frustrations or whatever. Whatever you're dealing with in life is just you in the bag. I always say that to people. It's like, how do I lose weight fast? I'm like, put in the time.
Yeah.
You want it? Get it.
Yeah, that's pretty much like my main thing.
Yeah.
Now that I'm back down here and doing martial arts again, just starting with bag work, and one bit of speed, but I mean it's head to toe, including the inner parts, right? Your mind and your body working together. Your brain, even your soul. It's like there's a lot that goes into it, and if you first of all, if you haven't really been an active person, I highly recommend it. It just it's different. I think you can ask, especially the people who do like jiu-jitsu, or really any martial artist that trains in a gym where things can get intense. When you're not training, or even especially like right after training, sometimes there's that feeling where even though you've been sweating and just you're on fire basically from how things get in the gym, especially if you're wearing a gi, you're right on top of someone, it's a closed up room, but right after you kind of feel like cool, like ridiculously cool. Like your skin is has a different sort of climate about it.
Yeah, you also actually feel really cool, like metaphorically speaking.
Yeah, like you mentally. No. Jeez. No, wait. Mentally, you're relaxed.
Yeah.
You're at a truly unbothered state.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You know what I'm talking about? Where it's just like you're not even experiencing the world the same. It's just like you're so relaxed. Everything feels. You can feel how nonchalant you are. It's not like you don't care about things, but yeah, definitely unbothered.
Right.
You know, I think that's probably the best word for it.
Yeah.
And your body just relaxed.
Well, and I think I like about it too is like, for whatever reason, once you work that good sweat and you've kind of kicked out the lactic acids in your arm and everything like that, there's a certain swagger you hold. I mean, whenever I'm doing back work, because for me, I'm not at any gym at the moment, so I've just been self-training, as you know. But I'll typically just try to do weight training with bag work, and on average, I always want to spend at least 25 minutes on the bag, at the very least. Mm-hmm. And honestly, when I went vegan, for example, and I gave up beer too, and I was just focused on losing 20 pounds, the amount of time I spent on the bag, I was like, man, I don't know why we don't have. I understand the value of cardio kickboxing in a group class or what have you, but for me, I'm wondering, like, man, there should be a class where you're like focusing on just working out by yourself, one bag, because it's so therapeutic for me.
Got to get up on that Boss Rutan DVD set. Man. I actually heard those are pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, but man, I love Boss Rutan.
Oh, he's great. I was just watching a scene with him.
All right, guys. All right, flight fans. Are you ready to sweat? Jab.
He's actually a pretty good actor.
What was he in?
Right before you came, I was just on my phone and I was looking up, like I was on my YouTube feed, and a random scene with Boss Rutan comes up from Here Comes the Boom. I've never even seen that movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he plays like basically a fictionalized version of himself. I think the name of the character is different, but he had
Ross Rutan.
It was like Nikki or something like that. Yeah, it was completely off, but it was basically, for all intents and purposes, Boss Rutan. And he had a scene where he's talking about like, what could have been, and I was like, oh damn, like he's not bad. I thought he'd be terrible, but like, because whenever you see fighters,
outside of the ring,
trying
to do other things.
They're direct to DVD films or what have you. It's usually cringeworthy, and you're oftentimes just thinking like, man, like it must. That's my big question. I'm like, how much are these fighters getting paid to appear in a,
non-UFC or
like a never back down 10. Like,
it can't be that much.
Right. Like, what's their day rate?
What's their day rate? Since these are indie films.
Yeah. Like, seriously though.
Unless they're barely passing SAG qualifications.
Right. Well, what's the impetus? It's like, when you're pitching a fighter, I wonder what the producer or the agent says. Hey, there's a great opportunity. It's a pretty popular franchise. Easy money. But
I mean, it is easy money.
Yeah.
Especially when you already have money. You're just like, I'm not doing anything else that day anyways.
Right. Well, Keith Jardine actually did a really good transition into acting. Did you know that?
I did not.
Like, after he retired, he became like, I don't know if he's a stuntman, but I know that he has played not bit parts, but he's definitely played tough guy roles.
Sure.
He was always typecast in that. And I was watching, it was pretty wide ranging. He went from films like, I think he always plays the prison, someone who's in prison, some jailbird.
Yeah.
Jailbird tough guy. But I was watching Inherent Vice, which is a very high caliber film. No pun intended. Like, you got a stacked cast. It's got Joaquin Phoenix and Josh Brolin, Paul Thomas Anderson directing it, and it's adapted from the Thomas Pynchon novel. And I'm watching this very bizarre stoner mystery film with Joaquin. I mean, just imagine that, Joaquin Phoenix playing a detective, a private eye who's always stoned. Like, that's just a good time.
Yeah.
And
I can only imagine.
yeah, and Keith Jardine just randomly appears as like a Nazi, like a neo-Nazi gang member or something like that. And in the theater, I was pretty faded. And I was like, oh, it's the Dean of Mean, Keith Jardine, holy moly! And he didn't look bad either, because I think back in his UFC days, he just looks like one of those the kinds of people you don't want to run into, like in a dark alley.
Oh, okay.
You know, he just had this tweaker look. Like he was kind of flabby in the midsection, but that weird hippity hoppity style,
totally
and he had that disgusting beard goatee contraption. But recently, whenever I see Keith Jardine, I think he was in Breaking Bad too. Like Keith Jardine just shows up places.
Hey, that's not bad. You know, the guy's working.
No, he's a part of actually respectable productions. Is the big point I'm making here. Maybe he was in Never Back Down 10, but you know, for the most part, his resume is actually, if you look him up on IMDb, you're like, wow, he's a part of like some pretty big films.
Well, speaking of which, I'll do that. While we go back to Boss Room, you know, he actually, Boss made one of my favorite, maybe video games, but especially fighting video games.
Mm-hmm.
So this is before EA and UFC teamed up to make the current UFC games. There was a game called MMA Elite, and it's like, it's great. So when you do the story mode, campaign mode, Boss Room is kind of like the center of it, right?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Are you serious? There's a story mode?
Yeah, there's not like a full story mode.
Okay.
It's just like a campaign mode.
Okay,
right?
I got you.
Where you create a fighter.
I thought there'd be like cutscenes and shit.
There's a little bit. Yeah, there's a little bit. With Boss, he's like, you know, I think I haven't played. It's been a while.
Yeah.
It was in PlayStation 3 is still out. What was it? What did he do? Oh yeah, it was this whole like okay, you gotta train if you really want to be the best, and so there's a whole like training sequence where obviously you're playing like whatever mini games you need to do. Actually, the one thing I loved about that is once you have like a real career and you're doing those training parts, like it would be like, oh, you're in the Hicks and Gracie's jiu-jitsu school in LA. I was like, oh, you're gonna train at whatever camp in Thailand. I was like, what? This is actually pretty legit.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah, because that's what people actually do. They'll go around and visit different places, or maybe one of those schools are actually like where they train in real life, and those are real instructors that are behind it. Like, one is what was it? What's Randy Couture's place called?
Oh, Extreme Couture?
Yeah. So you can go to Vegas in the game, right, and train with Randy at Extreme Couture.
Interesting.
Which is like, I was like, this game is freaking cool, man. Like,
wow.
And like the fact that they got all these big names in it. So at the time, it was pretty much everything and everyone that wasn't in the UFC that was involved in this game. Like at the time, I think Luke Rockhold in the game is champion because I think he was Strikeforce champion at the time.
Okay.
And they didn't use Strikeforce as the name, I believe. It was like they had some like made up ones.
How is Luke's chin in the game?
I don't know. I'd have to play again. But his chin looks great. The guy's actually a freaking model.
I mean, he's beautiful. He's a beautiful man.
He actually at POI.
Yeah.
I don't know, Jim, man. Like, we have, you ever go to your dining table with some magazines on it? He is on one of the magazines. I'm like, all right, this is exactly what every MMA gym needs. Is a magazine, and then Luke Rockhold's Calvin Klein campaign there, right on.
Ralph Lauren, excuse you.
Ralph Lauren?
Yeah.
Whatever it is. I'm not keeping track.
You know what they should have done for that Emma Watson Beauty and the Beast film? They should have not cast Luke Evans and cast the Luke Rockhold as Gaston. And just dub him.
He would actually be really good.
He has the look for it.
He definitely has the look.
Oh my god.
Luke Evans is a great actor. He's just a little bit small for that role. For sure.
Yeah, like
physically speaking.
He just seems like a very confident, Frenchman, hunter, ruffian type. But if Luke was Gaston, now that's my idea of a freaking Gaston in real IRL.
A big old dude.
Just a big old smug dude with every inch of his body is covered with hair. Like he would have owned it. They really messed up there. Honestly, they could have just done a Darth Vader on him and just had Luke Rockhold be the stand-in and just dub, just dub him. You're looking for Keith Jardine. Dean of Mean. Oh, yeah.
So we're got IMDb going right now.
Yeah. No thanks. Don't want IMDb.
Filmography stuff.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that's right. He was in Logan. He was in Inherent Vice. John Wick.
Wait, I need to see what he looks like. I forgot what he looks like.
What? How can you forget what he looks like, dude? Keith Jardine, Dean of Mean.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah. Come on, dog.
He's definitely got that. How do you not cast him as like a fierce, intense role?
That's the thing is the thing that's great about it is like he's in good productions. He was in The Punisher, Midnight. Well, I don't know what the heck that is. He was in Shameless. 3 episodes of Shameless.
Shameless is great. I've only seen bits and pieces of it, but I've watched full episodes. I do love it.
Dude.
And I gotta watch that from the beginning for sure.
Oh my god, yeah. He's Keith Jardine. He's everyone's role model. Every fighter who wants to get into acting, they should just follow Keith Jardine's
Keith Jardine model.
Well, because he knows he's not going to be a leading man, you know, for an Oscar-worthy film. He's got a look, and he's working that look. And it's funny to me, like, I hope in the world of filmmaking, fighters will find those bigger productions. I mean, I heard Francis Ngannou is going to be in the next Fast and Furious film.
Well, he's a gigantic human being.
Right.
So there's only so many of those.
Right.
I mean, he's a specimen. It's like they put him on CRISPR. And like,
if he would be the final boss in any video game when you think of it. Like, he has all the qualities of someone who could destroy you. Like, I remember seeing when he knocked out my boy Overeem. Good God.
That solidified him for sure.
Yeah.
That was it. If you were doing that kind of damage to that kind of guy.
I mean, Overeem's been knocked out, but not like that. Yeah. He, like, died. He straight up died. Set the trail for
he got GTA wasted
for the Askrens of the world and everything like that. Woo! Boy, I feel bad.
That's another one. Yeah, Ben Askren came in debatably hot. I definitely had Lawler for that fight. That was a controversial little moment there with Herb Dean. Still think he's probably the greatest referee of all time.
Nah, man, Big John.
Big John is also
Big John.
I love Herb Dean. I think him, Big John, Mario Yamasaki, Eve Levine. Those are guys. Yeah.
Did you just say Mario Yamasaki?
What did I say?
No, you did. No, Mario Yamasaki is the guy who lets people die, dude.
I was like, did I get the name wrong?
No, you didn't. You're like, he's a good ref if you want fighters to die. Like,
no, dude,
because he does not stop fights. He'll just like, so they're clearly out. Like when
he's got that pride mindset where it's like, if you guys know what he's setting up for, right?
Dude, when he finally stopped the fight with Derek Lewis and Travis Brown was like already like the sheep had been counted, like way counted, and Mario was like, "Come on, keep fighting." I think that was his last fight because it was so egregious. Like it was such a late stoppage. Like he was out, and I think same thing happened with Steve Mazzagatti. Steve Mazzagatti just had a lot of bad calls. I don't even see Eve Levine nowadays that much. There's one of my favorite gifs of Eve Levine, or one of my favorite moments, is he was repping a fight between Lyoto Machida and Tito Ortiz. And do you know what I'm talking about? Basically, Eve is behind Tito or Machida, and they like back up, and Eve does like a somersault, like a backwards roll to get. I gotta send it to you, but to get out of the way of Tito and Lyoto. And oh man, there's so many good moments in MMA that is my favorite sport. All of my thoughts with sports are with MMA. All I have are MMA thoughts.
MMA thoughts.
Yeah, that's my new Twitter handle.
That'd be actually pretty great. I would follow that.
Yeah.
Parody account.
Yeah.
Speaking of bad calls, though.
Yeah.
Last night.
Ooh. Yeah.
The fight for the first ever BMF belts, which look pretty awesome. They even got, dude, I wasn't like really following it super close before, and so I was shocked when Dwayne The Rock Johnson is out. I'm like, jeez, man, anything that this guy can get, he'll take it.
Yeah.
As long as it, even on the fence about it, he's like, let's just do it.
Right.
Let's do it. I am the people's man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he truly is the Brahma Bull champion.
He's huge now.
I was losing.
Was huge before, got huger,
right?
And now he's huge in every way possible. He's got, I think he's like the second or third most followed person on Instagram. Something crazy. Let's look it up. I can do that now.
He actually was an HB for some beach movie. I forget what.
Was it for Baywatch?
It might have been for Baywatch, because I remember seeing on his Instagram, he was like, "Hey, yo, The Rock Johnson, yeah, I'm doing The Rock Johnson." He doesn't sound like that, but yeah. But he basically did that, and then
he sounds a little more grand.
Okay.
I just want to say thank you to everyone for sending out the good mana out here in Huntington Beach, California.
He does,
soaking up the sun.
That was actually probably, no joke. I think that's kind of what he said.
Really? That's great.
Not even funny.
It's probably on Instagram. So
yeah, no, it's for sure on Instagram. I think it was for Baywatch. But yeah, he's.
Oh, here we go. Ariana Grande snuck up there. So Instagram is technically the most followed account on it. Instagram, I don't count that because that's like being friends with MySpace Tom.
Right.
Shout out to my boy Tom.
Right.
So number one is Cristiano Ronaldo, which makes a lot of sense. He's the most popular player of the most popular sport in the world.
Yeah.
Number two is actually Ariana Grande.
Huh.
She beats out The Rock. The Rock, brother. By 6 million followers. So she has 166 million. And this middle-aged action hero charity band has 160 million followers.
Wow.
That's a lot, man.
That's a lot of followers.
He's got more than Selena Gomez, Kim Kardashian, Kylie Jenner, Beyonce. He's got more followers than Beyonce.
The Rock?
Yep. Taylor Swift, Justin Bieber.
Wow.
J-Lo, Nike, the entire Nike brand. Ellen, Champagne Papi Drake.
Yes.
Vin Diesel, which probably not so happy. Vin Diesel probably not happy about that one. Yeah, everyone. Even 9gag, NASA.
Wow.
Marvel.
Wait, he has more followers than Marvel?
Yeah, Marvel is actually only number 50 at 43 million followers.
Wow.
So, yeah, he's got over 100,000 more followers than them. That's pretty crazy. He's posting all the time though.
He is. He's really good about his game.
And he does a lot of cool stuff. Like he's always helped people out.
Yeah.
He's very positive. You know, I don't think 90s Dwayne The Rock Johnson could be as popular.
Yeah.
Especially that was mostly like just WWE or WWF back in the day.
Right.
So that person probably wouldn't be going over as well as this one. But man, I think because of that, and then
he was a guy that definitely had a lot of. He had a weird career at first when he made the transition to acting. Like he started out with what's it called again? What's it called? Scorpion King.
I was just talking about that.
Yeah. No. He didn't start. He did Mummy Returns.
Yes,
but he was literally only in the film for about like the opening, and then they CG'd him at the end.
That I was just talking about that. So for Halloween party at the gym for the kiddos, I was trying to dress up as a nerd, and then I was putting on my costume. I was like, wait.
You were a nerd for Halloween?
Wait for it.
Okay.
As I was dressing up as a so-called nerd, what happened was my hair was a mess. I had this light blue shirt on.
Yeah.
I was putting on overalls. Oh, not overalls. Suspenders.
Yeah.
I was putting on suspenders. And then I looked in the mirror and I was like, I look like Rick O'Connell from The Money. So I basically just changed my hair a little bit. I found a good picture and I put it as my home screen, or lock screen, I should say, on my phone so people could see who I was dressed up as. And so I was basically Brendan Fraser from The Mummy on Halloween.
Did people actually guess that?
They were getting close. I mean, there was only so many people there.
Yeah.
I actually did get one person that said nerd. So
really?
Sorry, Brendan Fraser.
Wow.
Brendan Fraser, for making you look like a nerd. But once I showed the picture, people were like, "Oh, yeah, that totally is spot on." Like one person said, "We look like brothers." Mm-hmm. You know, that was a lot of fun though. That was a great evolution of a costume.
Yeah.
But we were talking about that moment where they put the rock in, and I'm just like, oh my goodness! By today's standards, that is
dude, it was
terrible,
completely awful. Like it was just
I think
completely,
even for that time,
it was just completely. They could have definitely just did a makeup job and CG'd. Not even CG. They could have just had him from the waist up. Like they could have CG'd the wide. You know, and then punch, for the big moments.
Where it's like close.
Yeah.
I mean, they obviously had to have him to get the CG.
Right.
So, like.
But I think it was pretty rough, though. Like, I think he had to have, they literally only had him as a frame of reference.
Oh, so you think they built him?
They built him. Like, there's no, I don't think the technology at the time could have allowed for that. I'm going to take a pee break. Can I pee?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be right back to relieve ourselves and get some cleaning out of the way. Yep. And then we'll be right back. Yep. Boom. And we're back. We are back from our break of relief.
Yes, our intermission.
Sweet, man. So we've been talking for a while. Yeah. And I've been drinking. What have I been drinking?
Oh.
What is this? What have you made me?
What do you think it is?
Here's the thing. So the last drink I had here involved peanut butter. Yeah. So part of me, I don't know if that's just by association.
Right.
Getting that. I did see a Red Bull can earlier. I didn't know if you got funky with that with both of our drinks, but it has an interesting smell. It's like sweet, but also like savory at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, basically, you're just drinking Red Bull espresso.
Oh, great! Just Red Bull.
No, not. No, you got what? It's I basically just pulled a double shot with honey. With yours, I added a little bit of lavender, and I put in a cocktail shaker. So it was basically like a shakerado. Poured it over Red Bull for a little coffee mocktail of sorts.
Right. And that's a big part of Caffe Montage, right?
Yeah, I mean
mocktail, but coffee.
Yeah, I mean, I typically try to just experiment as best as I can. Coffee world is weird. Coffee culture, I try to avoid like the plague. I mean, I'm not even afraid to say it because a lot of it is just westernized contrivances. And we have this problem nowadays where I do agree that there's a lot of the hard set rules as far as like extractions and time and everything. It's all based off of principles that are similar to like cooking. I mean, it is cooking for all.
Yeah.
And so in that respect, a lot of the rules and ratios are valid, but a lot of the customs and the sensibilities of, especially in America and Australia, which is where a lot of this third wave coffee, those customs came into play, which is why at certain coffee shops you have a certain air with baristas. We try to avoid that here at Caffe Montage. I'm not better than you, I don't know more about coffee than you. That's the way I would look at it, because I always want to learn. I always want to get better. And if you're looking down from the mountain, you're going to get sick of the view, Yeah.
It's a good way to look at it. Literally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just got tired of it, Coffee culture is toxic, honestly. I'm not even afraid to say it. I don't think I'm going to lose any street cred because I'm not going to, what are they going to say? Like, they'll say nothing because they're just following the same thing.
You'll do nothing.
They'll do nothing. Well, I mean, I get, because I'm not a roaster, for example. Sure. I don't roast my own beans.
Yeah.
We source. And we have good partners, and all that good stuff, and good relationships. But my big thing with Caffe Montage is I just want to try new things, because honestly, there's not one way to do coffee. There never was.
Sure.
With different cultures.
So that's how I feel about music,
Yeah. Different cultures, the same thing. Like, someone who's accustomed to drinking Turkish-style coffee is going to think that pour-over is disgusting tasting because it's too sour. And the same thing could be said about someone who really likes pour-over when they try Ethiopian coffee. So I'm like, why can't we just like both things and appreciate both things? I mean, I got regulars who enjoy, third wave coffee, but they also, on the flip side, like diner coffee. And I think that's a good way of looking at it. Is to accept all forms. Hell, like, I'll have Folgers, If I'm at someone's house and they offer me a cup of nice, robust Folgers, nice and burnt to a crisp, I'll drink it. Like, why should I look down on it? As long as it does the job, right? That's the way it should be. So when I'm on my Explore feed, I often see all these like coffee meme pages and everything complaining about either customers or like baristas doing something wrong when they're tamping or what have you. All valid criticisms, but I think it's an echo chamber of stupidity, because it's like, for me, what are you trying to gain? Half of these memers and half of these like snobby baristas that you run into, they're not creating. They're just conformists, and they're abiding. They're abiding to the standards that are set by an industry.
They're part of something there. They're like, oh, well, I'm in this thing, so therefore I know certain things, and because I know jargon, I can talk about it and laugh at people who aren't on my level.
It's the same thing with film snobs.
Yeah.
I mean, you see the connection here.
Sorry, MSM.
Yeah.
Please don't boot us.
Yeah.
There's plenty of good content in there. But there are definitely some toxic people in that group even.
Well, yeah, I mean, film snobs too. Like, I come in from the world of loving, I'll watch every single freaking big event Marvel film, every single big event film I'll see.
But isn't Marvel just theme park cinema?
But Scorsese was I'm with him. He has a very valid.
I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
He has a point. It's very different. You take the Avengers, put it next to even Joker, and those are two very different types of movies.
Oh yeah.
People have their things about Joker as well, but
right.
Plug in Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
If you really want to get to be like that, very different movies.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think Scorsese. The only thing I would criticize him for is just he's just not of. He didn't grow up with that, so it's something that he can't readily accept in the same way that someone, for example, who was, a millennial, grew up watching his films, but also grew up to the first Spider-Man film that came out.
Oh, you know what? I can totally see, especially our generation, like, the first Spider-Man was the best.
Right.
You're never going to be able to beat, Tobey Maguire and all that. That was they just did it right.
Yeah. I'm of that camp.
Yeah. I know you and Spider-Man. Yeah. Your relationship with your friendly neighborhood Spoderman.
Whatever.
But yeah, and also, I forgot who was talking about it, but someone was talking about Star Wars, and his point was like, of course you don't like the new stuff because you're just upset because the brand isn't changing and growing with you, right? It's appealing to this new set of mostly kids, because kids are the ones that are really driving sales for a lot of movies. And that's just how it is. Especially nowadays, it comes down to the money. It's like, unfortunately, not everyone that was into Star Wars 30 years ago is as avid of a fan as they once were. But who's always going to be wanting something? It's kids. Kids are the ones. Obviously, they don't have the money, but they're the ones getting the money spent.
Right.
And so, to a certain extent, you see that. Like I said, again, going back to Star Wars, those cute little fluffy things in this new series.
What are they called? The porgs?
Is it porgs? I think I'm pretty sure that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Those are adorable.
Yeah.
Those are easy selling plays. That was the first thing I thought of.
Well, that's why BB-8 was so cute. You know, you don't think R2-D2 is really cute in theory.
He's funny. He's funny. Comic relief, but there's something. I think they changed the pitch. It's a little bit higher.
Yeah.
It's round. The way he moves is a little all over the place and haphazard.
Yeah.
They did a good job making some toys out of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the name of the game with Star Wars. I mean, George Lucas was the first person to ever really think of that, and that's why Star Wars as a franchise changed the world. I mean, he
did that for funding, correct? Was that the plan? I think it was something.
I think it was like leveraging the sales of the merchandise. I think he was the first person to kind of step away from not the storytelling aspect, because he retained control over his property until they sold it. But I think he was one of the few people that was like, yo, we could definitely make more money off of, because when you think about it, action figures weren't really a thing until like the 80s and 90s. When you think of it, like back in the 50s and 60s. It was just
comics before, right?
Well, it's just comics, but I don't think kids actually had action figures and toys that could do all the things that toys could do. Now.
Even the McDonald's ones.
Yeah.
Even if they have one function, it's still pretty cool.
Yeah, so I think George was pretty, next level in that respect. Like,
now anything that's a kid's show or movie has a huge aisle over at Target and Walmart, their own, collection of this, that. Probably their own version of Monopoly. Mm-hmm.
That's why Marvel struck gold.
Much.
The studios, I should say.
There's so many characters you could sell. Right. Sell them as a set.
Because once you put someone on screen and you put words in their mouth and you give a story, like, it's kind of crazy to me sometimes when you still hear actors talk about being approached on the street, being like, I didn't like you in this because you were not very nice or something. Where people...
Oh, that's hilarious.
People don't realize that they're watching fiction because they're so
It's like that Joffrey, Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he's still acting, man. That kind of sucks.
I think he's a puppeteer now.
A puppeteer?
Yeah. I think he does shows and stuff. I'm not even playing.
Oh,
yeah.
I have to look into that. That's interesting.
Yeah,
but people were literally threatening him, sending him death threats because they hated Joffrey. I mean, I hated Joffrey so much, but that's not
kind of the point.
Clearly, it is a timepiece and a time that never existed,
right,
in a world that never existed,
right.
And I could identify that this kid is not who he's playing because he's playing a character, but people just got so into that show, and apparently I heard that they're canceling some.
Oh yeah,
sequel prequels.
They're canceling.
They approved one the other day or something.
Naomi Watts.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, IndieWire was bitching about it because they're all about being inclusive and stuff. I don't hate IndieWire. I don't know if you ever follow IndieWire articles.
I've seen some things, but
it used to be my go-to news site for films, but
then
it's just like I got a bone to pick with their reviewing, like how they review films.
Do they kind of do like a, I hate to say it, but like a Vice transformation, where it was pretty objective, but still had a progressive feel to it, where now it's like, it's just, if you're not including everything and everyone and every aspect of anything that's, subject to being bullied or included.
Well, it's just a lot more, they're basing their film criticism off of their own political ideologies. And that's problematic.
Because if it doesn't serve the story.
Exactly. And Scorsese friggin' nailed it on the head with some reporter was like, historically speaking, you don't have a lot of women in your films. And he's like, if the story doesn't call for it, it's a waste of everybody's time.
Right.
And I completely agree with him. Like I think that's my biggest bone to pick with not only the way IndieWire reviews films or TV, it's often because it doesn't align with their viewpoints. And the same could be said, I don't know of any conservative film reviewing site, or film aggregate.
I'm sure it's out there.
I'm sure it's out there, but it's probably not in the same level as IndieWire. And I like IndieWire's content. I just think the reviews are not baseless, but I can't take them seriously. I mean, they gave Joker...
There's an agenda behind it.
Yeah, there's a complete agenda. They gave Joker a C just because they felt it endangered the public or something like that. I'm not...
Yeah, there were some people that were upset about this new Joker movie.
Yeah.
It's
honestly,
inspiring them to be a certain way.
No one wants to be Arthur Fleck. Literally no one.
Yeah, if you think it's inspiring anything, I think you kind of miss the point of the entire movie.
Right.
Is that's like, hey, which to me is, hey, let's make sure that this doesn't happen. Here's what you shouldn't do.
Right.
Don't do these things, and hopefully this never happens because you decided to be decent human beings. I think that was the message for that movie. Surprisingly, one of the biggest villains of all time, the whole theme was to be a good person, basically.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think beyond that, it was just the danger of losing yourself. And losing yourself because of, I think there's no big message, but my big takeaway was like, yeah, nature and nurture and society definitely breeds individuals like this, but the onus is definitely also on the individual to make their choices. And I think people are kind of missing that. A lot of people are like, oh, film is about society screwing with Arthur, and that's why he becomes the Joker. I'm like, that's part of it.
But to a point,
you
still make decisions.
Right.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Do I still think people could be better? Absolutely. People could be better. Nature is tough because it is what it is. You can't really do a whole lot about that.
Right.
But I think as individuals, the way we treat other individuals could definitely improve, but also the way we operate as individuals for ourselves could also be improved greatly.
Yeah, I mean, but that was a very brave film, I feel. I mean, there was never a point where my only big criticism with the film, as someone who grew up reading Batman comics, or a select few, I'm no connoisseur, but Arthur never really felt like the Joker to me.
I felt like Arthur.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was Joaquin Phoenix playing someone who's deranged, who just so happens to be a clown. I mean, he's the Joker for just the end of the film, but very briefly, and then and it ends the way it ends.
So it was nice. It wasn't about the Joker.
Right. It was about this person's journey into descent into madness, which I'm all for. But yeah, that was just one of my big things where I was like, the moment you see Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight, he's the Joker. And even to a lesser degree, Jack Nicholson, when he becomes the Joker, he's very clearly playing the Joker character that's written for him.
Yes.
And Joaquin, you see bits and pieces of it, but the movie is probably 95% Arthur and maybe 5% Joker.
Yeah.
And that was my big thing. But I understand it's an origin story. I don't think there's one film that I've hated in a long time. Like, that's another problem with how people view anything nowadays, whether it's...
everything's polarizing.
Yeah, everything is trash. That's a buzzword I hear a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Like, your music is trash.
People like hating these days. It makes them feel like they know something.
Yeah.
Or they have an opinion, and I feel like a lot of the times they don't have an opinion. They're just regurgitating something because that's the popular thought, so-called.
Well, it's the whole problem with having the Socratic approach is because Socrates believed that everyone should have their say for debate.
Some of those forums culture some unfortunate opinions and unfortunate
people forget that Socrates liked little boys too, so I don't think we should follow everything Socrates said, or Plato, all those guys.
Everyone's got their flaw, for sure.
But that's the problem. I think people need to realize just because you can write it and say it doesn't mean you should.
Just because you can print on a T-shirt or on a wall, doesn't mean that idea is correct.
Right. Well, boomers and everything, and like like boomers who post on like Facebook posts, or even just people on forums. It's not even a specific type. It's just people have that desire to be heard. And
absolutely. So I feel like a lot of these people, even if they don't know much about it, they'll just
say it.
Yeah.
Or put in their 2 cents.
They want to feel like, now that they have a platform.
Right.
And they feel like, oh.
Or an ability to reach out to people.
Yeah. They want to feel like they're moving something.
Yeah, which is why I'm like, honestly, people are talking about doomsday scenarios and like, if we had no more internet, we'd be screwed. Or like, no.
It's just been a while since we've.
Yeah, I'd be like, it would suck, definitely. I wouldn't be jumping for joy.
I mean, obviously the younger generations will probably be like, what am I doing?
We gotta whip out some maps and stuff. And,
you ever seen a wiffle ball?
And find like coordinates and stuff. But like, oh man, like I think about it sometimes and I just want to take a break from, not technology. I don't want to be those people that post like, I'm taking a break from social media.
I'm off the grid.
Yeah.
You'll never find me.
Yeah, I'm just like, I think it's important to reset on occasion. And, you know, I'm not a very religious person, but one of my favorite things from hearing about, like, I don't know, it was one of those verses from, I think, the New Testament. Maybe it was the Old Testament, I don't know. But it's like, don't let your right hand know what your left hand's doing. Don't let people see you so you can win their adulation or what have you. I'm paraphrasing,
sure.
But you get the idea.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all for just keeping it secret, you know, keep it for yourself. But sometimes it is good to put things out into the ether. Because, for example, when I said that I told everyone at Caffe Montage that I was going vegan for Lent. And as a non-practicing Catholic, doing Lent just purely for the sport of the challenge. I gave up beer and I went vegan.
That was your sober October.
In a way, yeah, but it was to lose weight. And I didn't, you know, I lost it, but it wasn't a drastic change or anything. But it was good for me to tell people that. It would be a lot harder. The journey would have definitely been harder had I just had I just kept it to myself. But that being said, it was just good because like it kept me in check. That's why recently I've been trying to just tell people my goals versus just keeping it for myself, because I feel as artists there's kind of a need to keep things close to the chest. That's just a natural reaction that a lot of people in the arts do, and I think that trickles down into life too. Like whenever I wanted to have a goal and set out to do it, and if I kept it to myself, then I only hold myself accountable. But if I told you like, hey, I am planning to do X, Y, or Z, whatever the goal is,
yeah,
it's in your brain. Next time you see me, you're gonna hold me accountable.
Yeah.
Whether you guilt me or whether you ask me about it, what have you, it's still gonna be there. And I feel that's really helpful too.
Yeah, that's something I've been trying to do recently, is to say, hey, I'm gonna do this podcast.
Yeah.
You're one of them. I'm gonna get back to shape. I'm gonna do this and that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if you don't, and that's kind of how I look at dating too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, for me, in the past, it's like I feel like as soon as I start talking about someone and bring it around, then it's just like, oh, it's gone. And then next time you have that conversation with a friend or family member, like, oh, yeah, that isn't happening anymore, and that's an awkward conversation. Or if you don't bring it up at all, then there's nothing to talk about.
So you're of the camp of a gentleman never tells, kind of? Like, not never tells, but you try not to get people's hopes up and everything, right?
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm more of a... I try not to... If I don't think it's going to be happening for a while, then I try not to say anything.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I may change my mind, they may change their mind.
Yeah, totally.
Someone else could come up, that's really not on either one of us. Yeah, it's a lot. So, unless it's it seems like a for sure thing, then try to wait on it. But now, other aspects of life... damn, that's good. Other aspects of life, now I'm trying to really be verbal about what it is I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I tend to get myself into a lot of things, so I think telling people about it makes me have to do it.
Right.
But now I also realize that I have to do things in seasons.
Yeah.
People say, "Oh, you can't do everything." It's like, well, I want to do everything.
Right.
I like everything. I like, especially, I like being good at things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to start something and not
And
be good at it.
Proficient in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
then it's always more fun when you know how to do things right.
Totally.
Yeah, now learning is, okay, if I'm going to do this, when can I do this? What else can I do at the same time? Okay, if we're going to be doing those things, let's make a schedule. And then whatever else you have the docket, we're just going to have to schedule that after.
Right.
Speaking of scheduling things, I need to see BMF round 2. Because, man, I don't know if we talked about it.
No, we didn't. You literally leapfrogged it, by the way.
Yeah,
you were setting it up, and I was waiting to talk about it, and then you're and then we just went.
We went on this other tangent.
Yeah.
Going back on the correct tangent.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, BMF. What a fight.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a good card.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to my boy Derek Lewis with the memes. And then the actual BMF championship fight, presented to you by Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Super great. It was a good fight. I definitely think Masvidal had the first 2, but then round 3, Nate was just going.
He was going, but he was still that round was still Masvidal's for sure.
I mean, I think it's debatable, but I think especially I feel like 4 or 5. He was letting combinations of them.
But he was, but at the very end of the round, Masvidal has him and literally has him against the fence, throwing light punches on him. He had the last flurry, so I would think that the judges saw that, and he was hurting Diaz on the feet. Like, I was wearing my Nate Diaz shirt yesterday,
giving some spear bomb power.
Yeah, exactly. I was holding my hands up. I was on his level.
But if we got to see round 4 and 5, what do you think about that stoppage? Do you agree? Disagree? Are you on the fence?
I think that doctor's an idiot, but...
I mean, even Joe Rogan was like, this is very unusual. He was trying to say it in the nicest way.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh. He's not happy about this. No one was happy. Everyone in the arena was not happy about that.
Yeah.
Now, was there significant damage? Did Nate Diaz's eye look like it's pretty messed up? Yeah, but there are cuts, and it's opening up old wounds.
Right.
It wasn't like it was swollen and turning different colors. It was just that, it's a sensitive part of his face that's already been damaged.
Right.
It's really easy to open back up again. The only concern is that he had the top and bottom.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, you don't want to get it to where it's starting to connect. That'd be really bad.
That would be really bad.
However, I think round 4 could have happened. Obviously, it'd be up to the doctor to be like really, really keeping an eye on it. Same thing with the ref.
Yeah, but
that was I guess that was unintentionally intended. I think one more round at least, and then just kind of go from there.
I mean, Diaz was still in the fight, but honestly, they don't call him game bred for no reason. Like,
well, he at the end he's like, coming back for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think Nate would have lost, honestly, 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? You don't think he'd be able to come back before? So, part of me surprisingly really wanted Masvidal to come out and do his thing, and he did it for that first half of the fight.
Yeah.
And then I saw Nate coming back. I was like, okay, this is exactly why we had this matchup.
Right.
Is because Nate gets going once he's going, right? He kind of needs to fill out those first 2, which in non-championship fights probably has gotten him in trouble. It's like, when you're a late starter, it's really tough because then you're really putting your back up against the wall as far as scoring goes.
Right. Yeah.
And then now, that's essentially what happened. Maybe if he heated up sooner, maybe he could have won. I still think 4 and 5 would have been really crucial. Well, it definitely would have been crucial for the fight. But I think it would have been really interesting to see what Nate would have done.
In theory, he could. Of course, he could have. Everyone wanted to see 4 and 5. But my big takeaway watching how Masvidal performed yesterday was
he's accurate.
He was super accurate. Not only that, dude, the way he was beating Nate to the punch was unlike any. Because Nate has lost many times before, but typically through being out grappled or out pointed on the feet. Masvidal was not throwing for points. He was throwing everything.
And he definitely played his game, though.
Yeah.
He spent as little time on the ground. In that whole, when he was passing that guard, throwing the ankles and whatnot, that was really, I was trying to tell everyone there, when I was watching the fight with my family, it's like, that never happens. No one ever just stays in that position, keeping the person down, trying to re-enter to do some ground and pound like that. That never happens. Usually it's just like, either they're going to go for it, and they just dive, and they hope for the best, or they're like, that's not, I don't have time for this game.
Yeah.
This is dumb.
Yeah.
And they just back out. Or he actually spent the time, and he actually scored.
Oh yeah.
Off of that,
Yeah.
he got some a good flurry, or actually probably like 3 or 4 good flurries by doing that.
Yeah.
Across the first couple of rounds.
I don't think Nate, for example, would have called Masvidal like. I don't think he would say that Masvidal was fighting like a bitch, because he was fighting. He was fighting.
He was
to
tagging
take
him up.
Yep.
And that's why his eyes
Yeah.
started opening up, and he was aiming for those. Unfortunately, it got to a point where it worked with his plan, because obviously you're targeting that's a weak spot. But it worked against him, because then he didn't really get to do everything that he wanted to do. It was cool to see them be very sportsmanlike afterwards.
Yeah.
Especially the Frankfurt BMF.
Right. Well, they're two real not real gangsters, but they're two gangsters in the metaphorical sense for sure. And
it's like there are two different stereotypes for sure. Like Nate just has that like scrap look and like mentality, literally scrap back. And then you got Masvidal, where he's got almost that flair, like Miami flair, like, oh, I'm having a good time, you can't mess with me, sort of deal. So it's like, it's like a G and a gangster. That's the way I look at it. One's a G, one's a gangster, and then it was just fun. It was a good fight. I hope we get to see another one soon.
I think the direction they're going. One more thing I wanted to point out with that fight was like, what Masvidal did really well was he was hurting Nate to the body, which Nate is usually the person that scores with body shots. That's the thing. So he was taking Nate's best weapon again, and taking it away from him, which was his cardio. I think hypothetically Nate could have turned it on, but there wasn't a lot that he could have threatened Masvidal with. Save for a good 1-2, maybe.
It seemed from their exchange, it really just seemed like if it went to the ground, it probably would have gone to Nate, which the little time they did spend, he was going to work.
Yeah.
However, Masvidal knew exactly that would happen.
Right.
As you can tell, he kept it on the feet. And when he did re-enter, he was still on his feet. Maybe I was watching super closely, may have done like knee on belly at best, and then he went back,
Well, Masvidal had better wrestling, too.
He did better wrestling, but I think once
against the fence and everything.
Yeah, once it got to the canvas, then it's just like, okay, it's a different story.
Yeah. Nate tried to go for a heel hook, though.
Yeah, I saw that. That was
was it a knee bar? I forget. I think it was a heel.
He was working some sort of leg lock.
Yeah,
and it got really exciting there because I think especially in his most recent fights, his jiu-jitsu was just so much better, so much better. And now I don't think we've really gotten to see what he can do with that. We've seen a little bit with Conor and whatnot, but that was really, Conor just kind of gave that one up. But just the way he moves on the ground now, it's like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing. And I think the fighters know that, which is why you don't see a whole lot of time on the ground, because they don't want to mess with that jiu-jitsu, man.
Yeah, but I really do think if it went 4-5, there's no way Masvidal was going to lose.
Interesting.
Because I think Masvidal had it been finished, and I think he knew that Nate's going to try to come on strong, should have go to round 4 or 5. And I think Maz was just like, nah, because he was hitting Nate in such a way that, he was hitting him like a piston. Each time he entered within the pocket, he blasted.
Boxing is good, man.
Super, super necessary. Super good boxing.
Yeah, those are just good punches. Especially for MMA, the way he throws them, it's like, how do you throw that many good punches in a row and then just keep the pace going? And then
he was taking it
with the wrestling too.
Yeah, he performed so well, and that it's unfortunate that his performance got a little overshadowed by the stoppage. But I think that just would have been more with Conor. The thing with Conor and Nate, or anyone that fades against Nate, is they tend to blow everything within the first round to second round. They'll blow everything out, and I think Masvidal still had it, honestly.
Oh yeah, he was in shape. There's no way. I think
he wasn't going to
maybe in round 5
Yeah.
Depending on how 4 would have went. Maybe in 5 he would start to get tired.
Yeah.
But yeah, he didn't look tired. He didn't look tired when.
And he didn't want like.
He's fit.
Yeah, and Nate knew he couldn't fuck with him too. That's another thing. Like Nate fucked with Connor, Michael Johnson.
Yeah, I can't recall one thing that Nate did. It was Masvidal. Masvidal had his moments where he was playing around a bit.
Oh yeah, he was smiling. He was having a good time.
And yeah, where Nate, I mean, he's gone through a lot, with his health too, and then not, really fighting as much as he's wanted to. Which I think that played a good part of it.
Yeah.
But then I think once he started getting tagged, he was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
This isn't just another guy that they're hyping up. He actually could do something. And that was surprising. I was surprised. I knew Masvidal was good.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've seen his last few fights. But this really showed like, oh, wait, he's like really good. He's really good.
He's doing something right in the mental department, and I think it's really inspiring.
I think it's a deception now, because when outside of the octagon, you're just like, oh yeah, he's just in full like he's just living life, trying to have a good time. He doesn't care about anything, but really he's masking this genius behind him.
Oh yeah, no.
I mean, especially the whole Ben Askren situation.
Oh, completely,
like,
dude.
When I saw that footage of him practicing, I was like, oh my goodness, the likelihood of that ever happening again to anybody in any matchup is like, that's slim.
Yeah.
You literally can't. I don't know. The only way that anyone would get a faster knockout is if they start within arm's distance. Now that's insane.
Well, he's doing what Connor was doing really well when Connor was on the up and up. Like he was finishing everyone and he was fighting frequently. Masvidal, as far as 2019 goes,
3 fights.
Yeah, 3 fights in 2019. Till, Askren, and then freaking
big
Diaz.
Fights.
Yeah, all big fights. And he took a year off too. 2018.
He's catching up.
Yeah. So I think that rest was freaking good for him. And yeah, just seeing what he's doing. I'm curious because I've seen a few Masvidal fights. I saw him against Lorenz Larkin. I saw him against Tumanov. Wait, would he? No, he didn't fight Tumanov. He fought Al Iaquinta, and from what I gathered, seeing those fights, Masvidal will hurt guys, but he tended to take his time with those fights. Unfortunately, he would just concede for the pace of the fight to go where it went. He kind of allowed, because he obviously wanted to finish them, but there was just something missing there.
I definitely feel like he could have finished Nate.
Yeah,
and I think he decided not to.
Well, I think he wanted to, too.
Oh, you know what? Sorry. Oh, I'm thinking about it. Stephen Thompson.
Oh, yeah.
Stephen Thompson. That was the fight I was watching earlier. He could have finished that fight.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like he's being super nice. He kept letting him get back up.
Yeah.
He was high-fiving him right after, almost playing him out several times.
Yeah, my friend was mentioning that, too. Like, he was like, if Stephen Thompson just flurried him, just had better output.
If he didn't let him recover.
Yeah.
There was only one time where he went in and he was doing some ground pound and they're just like, okay, that's it. It looked like the ref was ready to call it. I'm pretty sure you could watch it again. The ref was like crouching already and waiting. And then, but then you just let him chill again. And it's just like, man, I get you're a nice guy.
Yeah.
But this is your job, the job is to finish.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he was trying to do, if he was like trying to set up a really flashy punch or kick.
That was Thompson's problem too. I mean, he was finishing guys. I remember when he finished Ellenberger, and then he finished a handful of guys, Johnny Hendricks. And then after the Tyron Woodley fights, something just happened within him where he just got a little more tentative. And I think he looked great yesterday.
Yeah, but it was a good way to come back.
But he beat Masvidal's last loss is to Stephen Thompson, and it was he point fighted him. He fought a smart fight and. Then after that loss, something happened within Masvidal where he was like, I ain't losing decisions anymore. And I think that's, again, I can't stress how inspiring that is to see Masvidal would even refer to himself as an old lion. He's a veteran and he's finally getting his due. So
yeah, it's taking a while, but it's it's panning out now.
Oh yeah.
Whereas you don't typically with the UFC, at least from what I've seen, is if you're not making it happen, you'll be lucky to get a fourth fight.
Yeah.
For the most part, I think they give you about 3 fights or so to see what's going on, and if at the very least you don't have 1 win, and then debatable losses. I think if you're debatable, they'll let you go around for sure, or close losses, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, it's like if you're not doing anything, if you're not getting at least 2-1, it's just like, all right, well, come back later.
Yeah.
Do something else for a little bit, try to beat some other people, and then we'll see if you get like another 3 to 5 wins, probably closer to 5.
Mm-hmm.
We'll give you a shot.
Yeah.
Which is just, even that's rare. Like, they don't usually let people back in once you leave those gates, unless you've already been somebody with them.
Mm-hmm.
So to see that happen from Masvidal, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys, they have these resurgences and they come back into the UFC. But I think Masvidal has been in the UFC since Strikeforce was bought by the UFC. I think he literally debuted, because I was looking at his record.
So many good guys from that.
Yeah, he debuted on 4/20, 2013 in the UFC. And that was the same night that Nate had the worst loss of his career, getting head kicked by Josh Thompson. And which is a really sad 420 for Nate Diaz, especially.
Yeah.
But I remember reading an article where Masvidal was like, yes, it's 420, someone's getting smoked.
Great.
Yeah, he went on to win a UD. This is before he became the Masvidal we all know and love now, Street Jesus. Like, he's now one of my favorite fighters. Like, because I just like the way he carries himself. He's super real, and there's no.
He's got character, and he is a character, but he's not like it's not overplayed.
Yeah,
I feel like this is him.
Yeah,
I don't feel like he's trying to put on. It does help sell, but I don't feel like he's trying to sell.
Yeah, he knows the I guess the talking points. Because when I listen to the press, he often reiterates certain points he wants to make and everything, like all great talkers do in this game now. But then when he's fighting, I feel like he's finally letting that animal out, because he finally has a platform to express himself. Because the UFC's production value with ESPN and WMA buying them,
great.
I was just talking to my friend about this yesterday, but like, man, if you were a UFC fan or even an MMA fan, most people thought you were like an affliction tap out bro. Like the apparel that
there was definitely
catered to
a vibe that was associated with anyone that had anything sort of inkling towards MMA. It's like, oh, you're this rough gun.
Yeah.
Just kind of a little wild out there. And you probably, when you have one too many at the party, you probably should clear out from this guy. It's changed a lot. I feel like now we're getting to a point where people are talking about it freely, as they would boxing.
Or any sport really. It's finally reached that appeal, which is nice. Because
I think, especially after the whole rise of McGregor, it's very public, and it, say what you will about that whole deal, but it put MMA, in a place where it's got a bigger spot on the map. Mm-hmm. It's got more money.
Yep.
Which is going to do a lot for the sport, and has already done a lot for the sport. So man, we are a little over time already, but this is great. So again, Peter Tran, any plugs? You guys are on Caffe Montage on Facebook.
Yep, and Instagram, mainly Instagram. 7176 Edinger Avenue, Huntington Beach, California.
When you guys open?
Open Mondays through Saturdays. Fridays and Saturdays we close at 6:30, but every other day we're open at 9. We close at 6. So I'm literally here every day. Come through, have some coffee with me.
It is excellent coffee.
Thank you.
I love it. It's guys, it's not like you're going to a chain coffee shop, and even some of these one-off places, you kind of just end up selling the same thing. Here, you've always got something different going on. You have monthly.
I got monthly specials
that are going on where it's all exotic and creative, and it's definitely not your run-of-the-mill cappuccinos and lattes upside down, whatever have you. These are great. And
we still got them too, though.
Still got those.
We can make those, but I mean,
you're definitely
every month. That's what we try to do since May 2019. Since I stopped doing film, I mean, it's a film themed cafe. I got to express my creativity somewhere. Yeah. So it's been a fun challenge so far.
You guys are raising the bar for sure.
Thank you, man.
Taste, quality, ambiance, everything. Folks, I'll be tagging my buddy here in Caffe Montage. Look out if you're in Southern California. You're just visiting, come on through, get some good coffee, and tune in again. Hopefully this is entertaining. It was good talking to you, buddy.
Yeah, dude.
And
thanks for having me, man.
We'll definitely do this again.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
Boom! Oh, that's the one. About. Okay, I wasn't sure if the noise was going to hit it.
All right. Goodbye.
Peace.
Once again, thank you so much, guys, for listening. I will have everything tagged as much as I can in the description of wherever you're accessing the podcast here. You can find me, and my guest and I on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You can either look up Completely Candid with Christian Blandin or hit the @The Candid Show and find us that way. So go ahead and do that. I appreciate you so much. Listen again. Please subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your mom. Make some friends and tell their moms if you don't have any friends with moms. Okay? I want people to listen to this. And yeah, that is it. Thank you. And bye-bye.